welcome back to the fourth episode of Lists, a podcast where we count down our top picks in a variety of categories as a springboard into deeper or dumber conversations about art, media, and pop culture. My name's Colby Cupernall, writer, English teacher, and Lists resident expert on all things literary.
And I am Scott Cassidy. I'm a filmmaker, screenwriter, and our expert on all things cinematic.
All right, so we're back for episode 4. Last week we did top 10 books you had to read for school.
That's right.
Came out pretty interesting. We had some stream crossing.
Our streams did indeed cross, yeah.
So number 1 was the same. I think we both probably saw that coming.
Yeah, that would have been my guess going into it. We'd have The Great Gatsby at number 1.
I mean, that's kind of a gimme, I feel like.
Well, especially knowing each other and that we both love that book, yeah.
Are there people who don't like The Great Gatsby?
I don't know. I haven't heard of one, but
I mean,
maybe they'll email us.
So far, I haven't heard from anybody who vehemently opposed The Great Gatsby being number 1. People kind of have passionate feelings, maybe one way or another, on Of Mice and Men or Mockingbird or things like that. But
yeah,
I don't think I've ever met someone who hates Gatsby. Not
a huge groundswell of support for my Scarlet Letter pick, but that's all right.
Well, could have told you that was coming.
I'm sure they're all preparing to write in support soon.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself whatever you need to keep telling yourself.
I will, thank you.
Man. Yeah, I now that I said that nobody hates The Great Gatsby, I'm probably gonna have the hardest time in all of my years of teaching it this year.
Yeah, you're jinxing yourself for class.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see.
All right, so do you have any feedback from last episode you want to talk about here?
I have my own personal feedback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
So, we talked a little bit about how I was in the moment rereading Catch-22. And so, yeah, I finished that up in the intervening time here between episode 3 and episode 4.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh, it's just so good.
That's interesting that you bring that up, because after we recorded that podcast, I went over to my bookshelf and I opened Catch-22 and thumbed to the end and read how he jumped and whatnot. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's
whoa, spoiler alert.
Well, that doesn't give anything. But yeah, anyway. I was like, yeah, that is a great ending. Not that it was eligible for my list, but yeah.
Oh, that's right. It was never assigned to you. Gosh, I still can't. Well, yeah. I honestly, I'm less shocked that it was not assigned to you and more shocked that it was assigned to me.
Yeah. Because
again, and that was running through my head all week long. It's just, I cannot believe some of the books that I was asked to read, that they are, and a part of me just respects the hell out of that. Man, I got a pretty solid English education if I had actually read the books.
You had the potential for a solid English education.
It was there. I just didn't take it.
Well, you caught up. I think you got there.
Well, obviously, yeah, did catch up.
By being an idiot and signing up for a decade worth of additional English classes.
I mean, it's just true. It's just, it's so unthinkable to me that a high school class could read The Sound and the Fury right now in 2019. And I know that sounds like I'm calling modern schools or modern students stupid. That's not at all what I'm saying. It's just things have changed, that people don't read in the same way.
The timeline of the preparation seems different.
Well, even Catch-22, I mean, we're talking about a book that's 452 pages long, I think it was. Just the fact that we made it through that, and that was junior year.
Yeah.
I can't for the life of me remember my teacher's name, and that's true in most cases for me. It was Mr. something. I remember him getting really mad at me for not taking the AP test. I was the only kid who came into class that day.
Oh.
He was mad. It was one of the only compliments I ever got from a teacher in high school, and it was couched in anger. He was mad at me, and then under his breath he said, "You would have done good."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
that is good.
I think maybe he thought I would pump up his value or something. Yeah, it didn't seem like it was about me.
I see.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't concerned, I don't think, for my getting those college credits or whatever it would have been. Anyway, the point is, I finished Catch-22. It was just spectacular. Honestly, it's just so good. And so yeah, now I'm kind of rooting through my big old stack of books I need to read and trying to figure out what's next.
I mean, obviously, Ethan Frome is first up.
That one may be put on hold for a good 25 years.
Ouch. I am personally hurt by that.
You did have some really positive things to say about it, but I didn't create a burning desire. I'm sorry.
No, all right.
It's not my wheelhouse. It's not my wheelhouse.
Okay.
So I got a book on Babe Ruth recently came out. Well, came out probably about a year ago actually, but I'm thinking that might be my next book. I don't know.
All right. I'm still slogging my way through Nausgaard's My Struggle. So. Oh
my gosh. Oh boy, I'll tell you what. There's gonna be a list that series is at the top of.
Yeah.
Are you still enjoying it?
Oh yes.
We should probably let the reader know what we're talking about, or let the listeners know what we're talking about here.
If you want to do that briefly.
Yeah, so very briefly, a Norwegian writer named Karl Ove Knausgaard wrote a series of memoirs that have been compared to Marcel Proust's very, very famous series of fictionalized memoirs, Swan's Way. They've been compared to that. And I can see the comparison. They're so hard to describe. But each one kind of takes place at a different point in his life. And he just walks you through day to day. But it's written. And the translation's phenomenal. And I don't know how to articulate how Knausgaard is able to do it. But he takes the mundane and he makes it spellbinding. I remember reading a passage where he was like frying up some onions and tomatoes, and it read like the tightest thriller I've ever encountered. It was, I don't know how he does it. It's a miracle. Anyway, these books they're miracles. They're miracles. It's been called the greatest literary achievement of our generation, and
it's worth checking out.
I'm not sure I can disagree with that.
Yeah. So that hasn't been on a list yet, but you can go ahead and put a sticker on that one from both of us.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we just spent like 10 minutes talking about books, which is great. Obviously, I could do that all day. But
right. But we're shifting from books to TV comedies.
Yeah. So we're going highbrow to highbrow here.
Exactly. I don't understand what you mean.
I don't know. I think TV comedy can be very highbrow.
Of course it can.
Yeah. But anyway.
So just before we move on quickly, we love to hear from you and your feedback. A lot of you have written into our email, listthepod@gmail.com. And you've probably gotten a response from one or both of us. We really enjoy getting into longer and deeper discussions about this stuff. Obviously, it's why we made the podcast. And don't be shy about tweeting or emailing us about the most recent episode or going all the way back to our first episode. Whenever you listen to it, reach out and talk to us, and we'll be right there to talk back at you.
Absolutely. That's the fun.
Yeah. All right. So top 10 TV comedies. Did we have any rules for this one?
We talked a little bit about, I think, airtime. How many seasons did it have? Things like that.
Oh yeah, if it was still going or if it had been finished.
Whether or not
that
it
was the big one.
something that was ongoing or did it need to have wrapped. And we decided not to limit ourselves in that way.
Yeah.
Which is risky, but
which you talked me into, and after having done this list, I'm very happy you did. It would have been
all right, good. I'm glad.
Harder without that.
I'm glad. Glad it's not the opposite.
This list was hard enough as it is. This might have been the hardest one for me.
Really?
Even after I finish it, I still don't like my order. I'm not even sure I like my top 10. I don't know. I struggled with this one.
I will say this one was really hard. It actually didn't end up being as hard as I initially thought. Ordering it was hard. And maybe your experiences, tell me if it was the same as mine in terms of ordering it. For me, a lot of the struggle with ordering it came with whether or not the show had finished its run and whether or not it was just a couple seasons, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there were a couple shows that really were just short-lived but were amazing. And there's some shows that were on forever and were amazing, but maybe I thought the other one was funnier or something. So ordering it had a lot to do with that for me.
Yeah, I don't think number of episodes or how long it was on the air ended up affecting me too much. I will say that I probably suffered from some recency bias, though. I've got objectively some recent ones pretty high up, and I don't know if that'll settle back down over time or if that's really how I'm going to feel forever. I don't know. But anyway, it's how I feel now.
I'm totally with you on the recency bias, and I think we even talked about that, right?
Yeah,
we either talked about it. Yeah, I think it might have been a text exchange. Is that recency bias? Is definitely an issue here. And your sense of humor changes over time too, a little bit.
Yeah. I agree.
I would write a show down, and I'm like, I don't find that nearly as funny now as I found it when I was 17.
Yeah,
which I would hope. I would hope is true.
I would hope our senses of humor have improved since we were 16-year-old jackasses.
Yeah, but then again, I have shows that I can remember watching when I was 10. So
yeah, I guess the difference would be if you watch it now, you'd still find it funny.
Yeah, which again says a lot about it and where it should be ranked. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
All right. So I guess.
Well, before we start, I actually have a little. I guess it's not feedback. What is pre-feedback called?
Pre-feedback. There you go. You just invented it.
I coined a term. We got some pre-feedback here from my 9-year-old son.
Some pre-back.
No. All right. I think that's pushing it. I like the attempt. I'm all for the attempt, but
I tried.
It didn't work. Yeah. So anyway,
A for effort.
Yeah, I'm laying on the floor, which is my office is laying on the floor. I don't know why, but I work like a 6-year-old. Anyway.
Yeah, sure, whatever works.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm laying on the floor and I'm kind of putting together my list and I'm moving things around, drawing arrows. My son comes up, he lays down next to me, asks me what I'm up to. And he asked me, so what's the list this week? And I said, I explained to him what it was. And he said, well, you got to have this and I'm going to blank, right? You got to have blank as the number one show.
Right.
And I laughed and told him, no. Daddy finds that show very annoying, buddy.
Okay.
But he wanted to make his own list. And I said, well, all right, let's, I said, that's part of this, right? Is people making their own lists, right? I said, I'll tell you what, you tell me what are your top 5 comedies on TV. And he really had to think about it. It was pretty funny. So you want to hear them?
Okay, sure. Let me get Jack's top 5 TV comedies.
Jack's top 5 TV comedies. Are you ready?
Count it down from 5 to 1. Do it right.
Number 5 is a show that I don't know of. Perhaps I should because my child's watching it.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm sure I've seen it, and I just don't know what it is. But anyway,
Okay.
number 5 is a show called Gravity Falls.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Oh.
I have not watched it, but I think it's like a high school comedy animated thing, right?
Dude, I don't know.
Okay, I've heard of it. I've heard good things about it.
I will say that the title is clever.
Okay.
Gravity Falls. Come on, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's good. That's good play on words. I appreciate a good play on words.
Right. I feel hip that I knew that. I'm feeling good so far. Now break me with number 4.
All right. Well, I don't know. You might know this too. Okay.
All right.
Number 4 was Richie Rich.
And I'm broken.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Rich. What is that?
It's not the old Richie Rich either. They did like a new version of it, and I can't remember if it's a Netflix thing or if it actually aired somewhere.
Huh.
But
all right.
Jack likes it.
Okay.
I do not care for it.
Fair enough. What's 3?
Number 3 is The Amazing World of Gumball.
Yeah, I can't say I've heard of that one either.
This one he discovered when we were in a hotel in Cleveland. It happened to be on.
Okay.
He's flicking through looking for cartoons, and it's a anthropomorphic gumball.
Sure, of course, why not?
Yeah, and
all right,
gets into hijinks with his friends.
Okay,
I will say this: it's a lot better than any of the other ones on this show on this list that I know. So
okay,
it's bearable for when your kids get to that age. All right, number 2 is a show that my wife and I both really dislike. But Jack loves it, so we respect that to an extent.
Yep.
It's called Some Assembly Required. It's about some kid who gets a defective toy for Christmas. It blows up, and the judge gives him the toy company as compensation. And so kids run the toy company. So you can understand why a child would like this.
Yeah. I don't think that's legally accurate, but all right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
We'll hear from some attorneys on that one.
Number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm really curious. What's number 1? Beating out all these heavy hitters.
Number 1. All right. Demonstrating the level of sophistication that you would expect from an English teacher's son. Okay.
Oh. All right.
The depth, the gravitas, the highbrow, the expectation of some intellect in your humor, right? Number 1 for my son, the Captain Underpants show.
Captain Underpants. Okay.
That's right. The Captain Underpants show.
Captain Underpants. Well, that's a solid list. Yeah. I think it'll be a big hit with our 9-year-old listeners.
Hits the demographic.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it's going to be a big hit with our 17-year-old stoner listeners.
Yeah, perhaps. All right. Well, my son is quite a bit younger than yours at 5. I don't think he watches any comedies, really.
No, he's just watching like dead serious stuff like
No, he's watching Ninja Turtles and he loves the PJ Masks. Have you ever watched that one?
The PJ Masks? No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. It's animated. It's on Netflix and Hulu and things.
Okay.
It's not bad. It's bearable. Oh. And he cracks himself up during Despicable Me 3. He loves that movie.
Oh, Jack loves that movie too. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one bridges ages.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Well, I enjoyed the pre-feedback. Very nice.
Yeah, all right. Coming up big with the pre-feedback, my son.
All right. Well, before we start our list, why don't we go ahead and take a quick break?
All right, we'll take a break. Hi, thank you for listening to Lists. This podcast is infinitely more fun when we get to interact with you. Send us your lists. Tell us when you agree or disagree with our lists. Send us ideas for topics you want us to do. Join the conversation any way you want to or any way you can. You can reach us directly by emailing us at liststhepod@gmail.com. That's liststhepod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at Lists the Pod. As always, you can find every episode of this podcast, links to our social media, links to polls, links to other fun stuff on our website, which is listthepodcast.com.
All right, and with that, I guess we're ready to start our top 10 TV comedies.
All right. Top 10.
I'm excited for this one. I have a feeling we might have some disagreements here and some arguments, but we'll see.
Yeah. See, this is the one that I think we're going to absolutely catch hell for with feedback from listeners.
Well, yeah, it's so subjective. Your own sense of humor can be so different person to person.
And that's great. Let us know.
And that's fine. I mean, tell us we're idiots and that we like terrible, unfunny shows. That's fine.
And then we'll tell you the same right back.
You better believe we will. All right. I went first with the books, so I think you should start us off this week.
All right, I'll kick us off. Number 10. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Number 10 on my favorite television comedies of all time.
Yep.
I have one that I think a lot of people would have much higher. And
okay.
I will say that its placement is not because I don't think it's that good. It's just that I like the ones above it better.
Well, that's how lists work, yes. That is the way rankings function.
Sometimes you penalize something for lack of quality, and sometimes it's just beaten out. Yeah.
All right, I got you.
Good God. All right. You mind if I let the people know what it is?
Yeah, we're all waiting on bated breath.
All right. Number 10 for me was the NBC comedy 30 Rock.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
30 Rock at number 10.
Yep. I really enjoyed 30 Rock. Jack Donaghy is
Liz Lemon,
phenomenal and quotable. I have a friend, a good friend who I worked with for a time who had a dog named Lemon.
Oh, okay.
A bit from the show. And
from the show.
Is probably
starring, we should probably say, Tina Fey, Alec Baldwin,
Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
So
Jane Krakowski. Yeah.
Yep. She's gonna be furious with me for ranking this so low, but it kind of
just got beat out by other ones.
It got beat out by other ones that kind of were maybe a little more nuanced. But
it's pretty zany. Yeah.
It's a little zanier than I typically prefer, but I will say that it is so quotable, which is one of the, I mean, you could do Jack Donaghy quotes for days. The one about tuxedo. Why are you wearing a tuxedo? Well, it's after 6 o'clock. What am I, a farmer?
Yeah. No, I mean it's very quotable and really. It'll definitely make you laugh every episode.
Oh, absolutely. And it's one I think I need to revisit too. And so
yeah, it's been a little while.
So maybe recency bias in the favor of others hurt 30 Rock. So don't
that's possible.
Don't come at me that hard, people.
Well, if they're gonna come at you hard, then they'll be even harder at me because it didn't make my list.
Oh man. Yeah, you're gonna get reamed.
Yeah. I have it written down as, just missing out. And very similar reasons as you. I couldn't squeeze it in there. It just didn't make it.
Yeah. So it was a bubbler for you, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely considered it. I enjoyed the show.
Are we talking close bubble or are we talking...
mid-bubble.
Mid-bubble.
Probably around 15. Wow. Around 15 or so, probably for me.
Yeah, 15. All right. Can't wait.
I mean, I think after the first half of the show, it kind of... didn't really give me anything new.
That's
just kind of
that's at Lists the Pod on Twitter for all of you. Just go ahead and hashtag that Scott so I don't have to catch it too. Okay.
No, give it to him too. But yeah, I think it. After 4 or so seasons, it kind of like, all right, you have anything else, or is it just going to be more of the funny same? And I think it was more of the same.
I'm going to very quietly agree with you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we can move on.
All right. What's your 10?
Okay. So my 10, I'm going to get a lot of flack from you for.
Oh, God. I already know.
Because I'm pretty sure you've referred to the show as terrible. So
it is.
Who knows? Maybe this is going to be.
You tried to get
I'll
me
get
to watch
lots
this.
of that from other people.
Oh, God. This is so bad.
Well, you got to stick with it.
Right.
So it aired from 05 through 14, like 200 plus episodes. So it was on a little while.
Yeah.
But I think it was solid the whole way. And that is How I Met Your Mother. At number 10.
I'm going to let that sit for a minute and bite my tongue.
Okay, so why do I like How I Met Your Mother so much? Okay. Well, first, the title, the kind of setup of the show is that a older middle-aged man is sitting down his two like 12, 14-ish age children and telling them the story of how he met their mother.
Yeah, but did the payoff end up being terrible?
Well, no, it wasn't.
That's not what I heard.
I liked the ending, and
you would
think it had to end that way. But we'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, that's the setup, and the whole show is our narrator back in his 20s going through hijinks with his friends. Normal sitcom stuff. But it'll occasionally cut to the future, his kids on the couch. And the narrator voice was Bob Saget, of our main character, Ted Mosby, played by Josh Radnor. And Jason Segel and Allison Hannigan play a couple. Great chemistry as friends. Probably most famously, the side character, Barney, a real ladies' man, played by Neil Patrick Harris, is quite funny. But really, to me, my favorite part of the show is Ted and Robin, played by Kobe Smulders. I really like them as a TV couple, on again, off again for sure. And yeah, like it's an emotional show. Like it does like the dramatic and emotional moments really well. Which, spoiler alert, seems to be something I care about in my TV comedies moving up my list.
Definitely a factor for me too. But
okay,
I think for me, Barney got really tiresome after like the first episode. I didn't find him amusing.
You have to stick past the first season and a half because it really finds a groove.
That's a pretty good run.
That's not completely unheard of on shows that are going to be on my list.
It's not unheard of, but
And oftentimes, I would rather the show's weakest point be the beginning rather than the end, like some other shows.
All right, that's fair.
Okay. There's the running gag of the slap bet, which is just hilarious. Robin's teenage persona as Robin Sparkles when she was a Canadian pop star. They'd have some music videos of her career that are just hilarious. Yeah, I think it's a really good show.
Okay. All right. I mean,
and anyway, okay. So I wanted to talk about the ending because it's general consensus that the ending of this show is terrible. And
nobody's ever happy with endings. Nobody. Like people only want endings to shows so that they can complain about them.
Yeah. It should be a choose your own adventure. Write your own ending so you can be happy. That's the only way you can please people. But the idea that this ending is terrible just makes no sense because logistically, the ending of the show, he finishes telling the story of how he met his mother, and his children get up from the couch and they interact with Josh Radnor in some old man makeup, and then he goes off and there's some more scenes and stuff in the quote unquote present. And they shot that in between season 1 and 2 because those kids were going to age. So the ending was written from the very beginning. That was always going to be the ending. And I think if you watch the show after you're used to kind of the shock of the ending, you're like, yeah, of course. This was all written to this ending. It has to be this ending. So anyway, I think it works well.
I think maybe the best thing I can say to you right now is you almost convinced me to give it a second chance. I'm not going to,
Screw you. You should.
Well, you almost convinced me. The Robin Sparkles sounded fairly amusing, but I'm not going to.
All right, fine. It's funny. You get to know and care about the characters. The key, like, couplings, the relationships are actually pretty decently handled on the show.
Does the guy get less whiny? Like, that was the thing I couldn't handle, is he was just so unlikable to me.
Yes, he gets much less whiny.
And I mean, obviously I can handle unlikable, because you're going to see on my list that I've got a lot of unlikable characters.
There's a difference between unlikable and, like, whiny.
He's just constantly whining about, like,
admittedly, How I Met Your Mother. I know. It takes 20 episodes to really get going.
Like, maybe I'll just start on, like, season 3 and then...
It has some in-jokes, but yeah, I mean, you'll catch up.
Yeah, but again, I'm not going to.
All right, well, everyone listening should. It's a good show.
Much stuff. I still haven't gotten to season 3 of Stranger Things, man. I gotta...
All right, I know, there's so much to watch, but I mean, we're doing this podcast, so you gotta, like... up your consumption level. We got to keep up with our listeners here.
Yeah, well, let me remind you what my profession is.
Yeah, a teacher, you get, you're done at 3 o'clock and you have nothing else to do all day.
You're lucky you live in Texas. Actually, after that statement, I probably shouldn't reveal anything about where you live.
Oh, I'm obviously joking, teachers out there. I know you're incredibly overworked and underpaid.
Once again, folks, that's at Lists the Pod. Just direct that right at Scott.
All right, number 9 for you.
Number 9 for me. I gotta say, this broke my heart. Because this should...
To be so low again?
To be so low. Because it should have been number 1.
Oh, okay, I know what you're saying.
And this one is Michael Corleone going up to Fredo, saying, "You broke my heart."
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
So number 9, I have. Oh God, I don't think I can even say it.
Arrested Development.
Yeah. Seasons 1 and 2.
Yes.
Are.
Alone would be also my number 1.
I think honestly, if it was just seasons 1 and 2, I don't know if it would be number 1, but it would certainly be number 2.
It would be number 1 for me if it was just the first 2 seasons.
The writing in those first 2 seasons.
Oh my! It was, every single sentence was a joke and a hilarious one.
I mean, even single words were callbacks to jokes.
Yeah.
Even the placement of props in shots were callbacks to jokes. I mean, it's one of those shows where you go and you can understand why Arrested Development couldn't get an audience, right? Because, so like you were saying with How I Met Your Mother, if you fall into that show like episode 8 or so, right?
You're missing so much.
You're going to be fine with a show like How I Met Your Mother, right? If you fall into Arrested Development, even on episode 3, you're done. You're not going to get most.
It has to be watched in order because there are so many callbacks and in-jokes and self-references. Yeah.
It was ahead of its time because it was before people binged and everything was released at once. Yet somehow, when it came time for them to drop everything at once,
they dropped the ball.
They dropped the ball. And so... Scott and I kind of know.
We should say there are 5 seasons.
There are 5 seasons of Arrested Development. Seasons 1 through 3 aired on Fox, and
from 2003 to 2006.
Is that right? Yeah, it was quite a while ago. Seasons 1 and 2. Just again, like I said, every time you watch it, you pick up something new. You will die laughing at. I mean. The characters on that show are so well written and so funny.
Absurd and hilarious.
It's one of those shows where you can have an Arrested Development line in your pocket for any situation in life.
Oh yeah, it's so quotable.
It's one of the and you can almost go an entire day communicating with someone in nothing but Arrested Development quotes.
I'm sure we've done that before.
It's just that good. Now, season 3, they were trying not to get
very, very good.
Season 3 was good. It was quite good, and it had great moments.
Yes, okay.
But they were really trying to stay on the air.
Yeah, they were trying to save their show.
And so it got a little convoluted, and they added some big name guest stars with thin plot lines. And look,
I love Charlize Theron, but that was weak.
And season 3 is still excellent, though. Season 4, which was released on Netflix, however many years later, it was like
2013, and so there's a 7-year gap.
And a big problem with it was that so many of the actors had moved on to other projects. They couldn't get them on set at the same time.
Well, they all became big stars because everyone in the industry watched Arrested Development and thought it was hilarious, and those people got tons of work.
Oh, absolutely. I'll never forget the first time I saw Arrested Development. I saw a preview for it on TV. This is how you used to find things. It was a commercial for it. And I was like, oh, that looks funny. And I remember sitting down and watching it after some episode of something and laughing so hard with my roommate at the time. And we just became instant fans, and we watched it religiously.
Yeah, I think I randomly caught the premiere. There was like maybe a Super Bowl commercial, I want to say, because it was Fox.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll watch that, I guess. And it was not what the advertisements made it out to be. No, it was so smart.
It's so
and
good.
Hilarious. Yeah.
No touching. So anyway,
Arrested Development number 9.
Season 4 was bad. They recut it, and it was a little bit better, but still bad.
Still bad.
Season 5, I
haven't been able to finish it.
Really? I found season 5 to be, I mean, maybe it's just because season 4 was so bad, and it really was bad, that I thought season 5 was pretty good. But it was just so far away from even season 3's quality that it just. Yeah. So anyway, a show that should have been number 2 on my list, I couldn't get any higher than number 9 because I couldn't.
Makes perfect sense.
I couldn't if you allowed me to lop off 4 and 5. It goes up.
It'd move up.
But I can't do that. It was there.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Oh, I still feel bad about it. It. Just
all right. Well, good number 9.
I named a dog of mine after the puppet, Job's puppet on the show.
Franklin.
Franklin. It gets even better than that. Franklin Delano Bluth.
Yeah. I know. It's so good. All right.
All right. We're gonna post some clips of Arrested Development and
bees.
No, beads.
Beats? No. All right. We can do this all night.
I don't think Job's on board.
Yeah. We could do that all night. All right. I'm going to go ahead and move into number 9.
Yeah, we could go back and forth all night. I do still think that Lucille had the greatest response. I always wanted to say this to a professor because I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. When she
okay, go ahead.
They have to go eat at like a Denny's style restaurant, and it's a really rich family. So this is so far beneath them.
Yeah.
She orders like moons over my hammy or something ridiculous like that, and the waitress says to her, "Plate or platter?" Lucille, without even looking at her, hands her the menu and says, "I don't understand the question, and I won't respond to it."
Yeah,
I have always dreamt of pulling that off with a superior.
Lucille's bite on that show is amazing.
It's acidic.
Yeah, Jessica Walter, the actress, she's fantastic.
That's again, like we said, you could sit there and have a conversation with a person for an hour and a half, just trading back and forth favorite Arrested Development moments.
Yeah.
There's an entire plot line where Michael and Job are both upset at a man they believe is named Hermano because they think that the girlfriend that they're each in love with is cheating on them with Hermano, which of course is Spanish.
And Spanish means brother.
For brother.
Yeah, I know.
It's
so good.
Yeah. Everything in that show, and the jokes work on like 5 levels. They work on.
Yeah, and it's because it's so densely packed with jokes. It's a great to rewatch.
Yes, because you'll be laughing through like 5 other jokes.
Yeah, like you were laughing too loud the first 3 times to even hear the next line, and finally you do hear it, and it's funny too.
And you know what's a really fun game to play with Arrested Development is
what's that?
Is when you sit there and try and identify who in your family is each character. Like, who's the Job in my family? Who's the
you?
Right?
But okay,
but you know what I mean, like, right?
Yeah.
Who's the Buster in our family? Who's the Lindsay in our family?
Right.
We didn't even talk about Tobias. But anyway,
Tobias.
But my point is, I think everybody thinks that they're the Michael Bluth in their own family.
Well, they hope.
When, in all likelihood, they're at best the Job.
At best. All right.
For the record, for my family listening, I'm the Michael Bluth of our family.
Sure he is. All right. Well, you might be, but that's a whole nother story. Okay. My number 9. We got to move on. Arrested Development. I'm sorry.
We could do an entire
with you that it's so low.
That's going to be a list, top 10 Arrested Development quotes.
Oh, that might be a future episode.
Dude,
let us know.
That would be so hard.
No, that'd be impossible. Okay. Number 9 for me. This show aired from 2003 to 2006. Had 33 episodes.
It's a short run.
Yeah. And I turned it off usually with 5 minutes to go. Because I didn't care about the end of the episodes. I don't know if this is what you had in mind for TV comedies, because it is a sketch show. But it is making my list at number 9, Chappelle's Show.
Sketch comedies. I briefly thought to myself, should sketch comedies be a part of this? And I just kind of went away from it because I wouldn't have included, like Saturday Night Live would not have made my list. But I didn't even think of Chappelle's Show, which I should have, because, oh my God.
It's hilarious.
It's so good.
Okay.
That's a really good choice.
Thank you. I thought, in the history of my life, what made me laugh so hard I was crying more often than the Chappelle Show? And I don't know if there's much.
Oh my God.
It's not every episode. It's not every sketch. Usually shows would end with like a musical performance and I would just turn it off. It opened usually with a couple minutes of stand-up from him that was hit or miss.
Well, it was usually hit.
It was usually hit. Some miss. And then there was, 2 or 3 sketches. And they're just some all-time classics in there. Crack addict Tyrone, which is a very popular meme now. The one episode in particular had both Love Contract and True Hollywood Stories with Charlie Murphy about Rick James.
You are not going to get any better ever than True Hollywood Stories with Charlie Murphy. Oh my God.
It is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
If that itself had become a series, it would be number 1. And we only got to hear 2 True Hollywood Stories from Charlie Murphy.
That's true. Eddie Murphy's brother.
Murphy's brother. And Eddie Murphy actually does an amazing and hilarious impression of his brother. Look it up on YouTube. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Because they're like polar opposites.
Yeah. I just game blouses. Like, it's all so... It's just classic stuff.
Well, and the craziest part is that, like, it keeps unraveling. You're like dying laughing. Like, this cannot be true. Charlie Murphy is insane. He's making this up, and everything he's saying is being verified along the way. And like, it comes out years later that all this stuff about Prince was 100% accurate.
Completely true.
And Rick James is there.
There's a hilarious story about how Prince is amazing at basketball, and instead of shirts and skins, it was skins and blouses. And anyway.
Shoot it,
like
shoot the J.
Yeah. Just absurdist hilarity. What was it? It was like a courtroom sketch. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th.
Oh, that was.
I plead the 5th.
That is. I actually show that to students sometimes because.
Oh, okay.
What it is it's such. The thing about Chappelle was not only was it hilarious, but it was brilliant social commentary, and that entire
really progressive messages, racial commentary, all kinds of stuff.
We teach a satire unit, and the students are asked to like study satire and then to create their own. And one of the things I like to show them is that Chappelle Show sketch where I forget what the title of it was, but it was basically if the justice system worked the same way
for white people,
for black people as it did for white people. So basically, if it was flipped, so you have a crack dealer. They call him and they're like, "We really hate to do this after all you've done for the community. Do you think you could turn yourself in?" Like, "Oh no, that's not going to work for me." But I can come hilarious. In on Tuesday at 3:00. And so the system's so lenient to him and all that. And then you have the white guy who's created some or who has done some sort of like
stock fraud or something.
Yeah, something like that. And they're throwing flash grenades into his and pinning him down and like threatening his wife and his dog. The jury of your peers, and he turns and it's just a whole group of these just giant black dudes looking at him and nodding. Which is the brilliance of it is that's exactly how it works if you're not white. And
I know.
It's so funny. Jack my son will not say, he's never seen the sketch obviously, but he will not say the word fifth. He won't do it. He always says,
he'll just say fifth. Fifth. Such a good show. And I know probably people listening to this show are like, might want to swap out Chappelle's Show for Key and Peele.
Nope.
Not me. Sorry.
No.
Key and Peele has some good sketches.
They do.
And it'll make me chuckle pretty consistently.
And it is very good satire. It is. But equally as good, if not better satire, combined with things that had me crying tears of laughter, is Chappelle's Show. Oh my God. Do you remember the Black President Bush?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh, man. Gotta get that oil. Oh.
Remember Wayne Brady?
Oh, my God.
Is Wayne Brady going to have to cap a bitch?
Oh, my God. I totally forgot. Wayne Brady. These are legendary. That's what I'm saying. Sketches.
I started to remember these things. I'm like, okay, yeah, this has to be in my top 10.
And I remember being in college, sitting up late at night, watching things like Wayne Brady, and just you're on the ground, you're in tears, because it is just so funny,
unbelievable.
Oh, it's so good. That's a great pick.
That's my number 9.
Boy, I'm really curious about your 8 through 1 now.
Well, only 33 episodes, and it's a sketch comedy show. I don't know. Yeah.
Man, so good.
I have it at 9.
That's a great pick.
All right, good. Thank you. All right, moving on. Number 8.
So, yeah, I'm going to follow up the Chappelle Show with a pretty white bread show.
Okay, do it.
No, number 8 is a show that I believe is finished now, and it was on Amazon Prime. It was an Amazon original.
Oh, okay. It
is a show called Catastrophe. Have you heard of that one?
I have heard of it. I have not watched it.
Oh, it is brilliantly funny.
I've heard it's very well thought of. So what's it about?
So an American man is visiting, he's on a business trip to England, and he goes to a bar and hooks up with an Irish woman living in England. And lo and behold, he gets her pregnant. And so he goes back to England to kind of discuss this with her, and they decide that they're going to like try and make it work. And so they end up having the kid and getting married. And really, now this one, again, part of this I think is recency bias, and part of it I think is just where you are in life. Like it's about the absurdity and the challenges and the difficulty and the hilarity of marriage, of parenthood, of dealing with in-laws. Like he's got his brother-in-law is like this complete jagweed who is constantly trying to borrow money and all of that.
Oh, okay.
But it's absolutely hilarious. But it's funny on other levels too. You don't like have to be a parent to find it funny, I don't think.
Okay.
So it's funny on a number of levels. It's a good dry sense of humor. The chemistry between the two leads is phenomenal. All of the minor characters, great. Carrie Fisher was actually in it as his mother.
Yeah, I think I knew that.
Yeah, and it's actually got some deeper elements too. Like you said, shows that have that emotion to them.
Yeah.
It definitely has moments where you feel the emotional weight of these things, because it's a couple that's, I mean, how long have they really known each other, and do they really know each other, and all of these issues that arise because of this. And it's really, really, really funny. It's really well written. And I highly recommend it. It's Catastrophe. It is on Amazon. Check it out. You'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, you sold me. I'm going to check it out. Yeah. And unlike you, I'll probably actually check it out. So,
well, it's considerably better than a run-of-the-mill sitcom.
How I Met Your Mother is not run-of-the-mill. Okay.
Yep. It is moving on. Boilerplate.
Oh my god. Anyway. Atlas the pod. Let Colby know. All right. Okay. So excellent pick. I like that. Catastrophe. It's on my list now. Excellent. I guess I'll do number 8 then, right?
Yep.
8?
Okay.
What's
number 8?
So 8 is... Okay, there's 250 plus episodes. I have not seen all of them. This series aired, I think, entirely before I was born. This is something that I watched on Nick at Night growing up, like in high school.
You are a very nostalgic man.
I guess it's.
And I don't say that as a bad thing.
I'll still.
It's interesting.
Run across an episode now, and I'll leave it on. And it's an absolute classic, and it's one of those ones that's a classic for a reason. So anyway, I'm talking about MASH, and
all right.
So MASH started as a movie in 1970, directed by the great Robert Altman. It starred.
That's like my dad's favorite movie.
It's one of my dad's favorite movies, and it's a good movie. Not one of my favorite. It's a good movie though. Yeah, it's solid. Donald Sutherland plays Hawkeye. Elliot Gould is in it. Lots of people. And it's a solid Altman movie. But then 2 years later, in 1972, they started the TV show MASH, which ran for like 11 years, 250 plus episodes. And the final episode of which is famously the highest rated program in US TV history. Or I think maybe it got beat by a Super Bowl a couple years ago. But it was like 150 million people watched the final episode.
Yeah, but it was something about like the percentage of Americans that were actually watching it is still.
Yeah, the share which if you know TV ratings information, the share is still the highest of all time, which just means the percentage of households that owned a TV that had it turned on to that channel at that time is the share. And that percentage is still the highest. Yeah. So anyway, the show, it's all about Alan Alda's Hawkeye for me. He is the most sarcastic, cynical son of a bitch, and hilarious, and deep down with a heart of gold and all that. I mean, I guess I should explain. It's set during the Korean War at a mobile army surgical hospital. So it's like surgeons that are just back from the front line having to constantly patch up mangled soldiers' bodies every day. And so what else can you do in that situation except try to find humor and play lots of pranks and stuff with each other, right?
Right. It's very Catch-22-ish, actually.
Yes, it is very. And obviously it began airing in 72 through 83, so it's set during the Korean War, but it's very much about Vietnam. And like How I Met Your Mother, but much more so, and other things coming up, the show is excellent at mixing the serious with the comedic. Obviously, surgeries and war and death and stuff, they go into the serious pretty often, and they always do it well. And it's a great collection of side characters: Radar, Klinger, Hot Lips. It's like classic characters. Good interactions among the whole cast. When they go serious, they do it well, and it's funny, and I think it holds up just fine, even though it's from the 70s and 80s. I mean, it's set at wartime, and surgery, like war shows and medical shows, are still very common. They get a lot of their lingo from MASH. Like, it won't feel like you stepped in a time machine. Like, it still feels pretty modern. And yeah, I recommend it. You got 250 episodes you can watch. I mean, basically with that setup, you can probably pick up any random episode and enjoy it just fine.
Yeah, I think it's one of those shows, like you said, if you catch it on, you're going to pick up pretty quick what's going on with it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing episodes here and there as a kid, as a teenager.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of familiarity with it. Something about it just didn't hook me.
Yeah, it'd probably be better if you saw it for the first time when you're a little older. Yeah. Yeah,
probably. And it's weird that it didn't. My dad was in the military, and my dad flew the helicopters. You see the exact helicopter that you saw, those Hueys that were coming in and out constantly. I grew up; those were my playgrounds. We were always in and out of those.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know why that one never caught on with me. Just didn't. But I definitely think it's a worthy pick.
Yeah, I think you can find it, I'm sure, somewhere online and catch an episode or two, and maybe look up what the classic episodes are and watch some of those. And yeah, I think it holds up. It's very funny and does the serious stuff really well, and it's worth checking out.
All right.
My number 8.
Good number 8.
All right. And now, before we continue, let's take a quick break. Thanks for listening to Lists. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode. And, if you like what we're doing, please leave us a rating and review. 5 stars, 5 stars. It really helps us grow and get the word out, especially as this podcast is still very new. So thanks in advance, and now let's get back to the lists. Number 7.
Okay, number 7. Going into this, I thought this was going to be a lot higher too.
Oh,
I guess that's kind of the case with most of my shows.
See, I opened this by saying I struggled with the ordering, and it sounds like you really did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I really did.
Right. Well, me too, but okay.
I could probably talk myself into moving this one up to like number 4 or so.
Oh, okay.
The reason that this one is not up that high for me is that listen, it is hilarious. It's it's going to make you crack up, but it doesn't have those other elements. It doesn't have those moments of, like you said, the where it does the serious well or anything like that. They don't even try to do the serious.
I think I know what this is.
And that's great. And it is the longest running live action TV comedy in history now. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. That wasn't my guess, but all right.
No, well, all right.
You had I've thrown myself off, but that your description still fits. That makes sense. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's very much an absurdist show. None of the characters are even remotely likable, except in how despicable they are. Yeah. And you admire them for the fact that they just say whatever's on their mind and do whatever. Because they do these insane things that no one in the world would think to do.
You laugh at them, not with them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of them saying things that you occasionally wish you could say to people because they don't have filters. But anyway, so it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is about a bar in Philadelphia.
You don't
it's this little crap hole bar that never has any customers except for like 3 or 4 old, possibly homeless people.
Yeah.
And they're constantly trying to come up with schemes. It's about a group of friends, and they're 2 of the friends' dad, who is played by Danny DeVito.
Yes.
And they're constantly trying to come up with ways to kind of get over and get rich, or solve their problems or anything but actually do work and run a bar. And it's hilarious. The first time I saw it, I was flipping through channels and I caught an episode where they thought that it would be a good idea during the gas crisis to buy gas, put it in these giant drum barrels, and then bring it to people door to door and try and sell gas door to door. And one of them decided that it would be better as a better sales tactic to dress as like a Texan and take on a full accent and all of that. And when that plan predictably failed miserably, they decided they were going to go back to the gas station right across from it and compete with them from barrels. And they were trying to get attention. They discovered that they could siphon some gasoline into their mouths, blow it out, and light it on fire. And and I just remember laughing so hard at everything that happened in that episode. And from there it had me. And the characters get, they are who they are, and they're just ridiculous. But they're, one of them is just a complete sociopath, but he's hilarious in being a sociopath. One of them is a guy who's obsessed with becoming, he calls it gaining mass. He wants to be more muscular, and he wants to put on more mass, and he's deeply closeted and in denial about his sexuality. And then there's the illiterate friend oh man, who writes the great musical The Night Man Cometh. It's one of those shows. I know you're not. I don't think you're a fan. I don't think you watch. So any quotes I have are just gonna go right by. But anyway, it's a very quotable show. It's a lot of physical humor.
Yeah.
Just don't go in looking for any heartwarming episodes.
Yeah.
Don't go in looking for
character development or
anything super brainy.
Yeah.
But it will make you laugh.
I agree with that. And you're right. It's not on my list. And I don't know. It's probably in the 30s or something for me. Only because I've seen maybe half of the episodes at best. And I've definitely kind of lost track of it now. I mean, I like it. It never really clicked for me.
Mm-hmm. I think it's definitely one of those shows that people either love or hate.
Oh, well, I don't hate it. But my lack of loving it, leaves it off the list for me.
Okay, so it's one of those shows that people either love or are indifferent to.
Apparently.
But I mean, they're doing something right. They've been on the air. They're going into season 14, I think.
Yeah. No, they're definitely doing something right.
And they actually did, not to give away to any spoilers or anything, because the show is so over the top in its craziness.
Yeah.
In the insanity of the things that these characters do, the schemes that they come up with, and all of that.
Right.
The last season, they had this amazing, like, just totally pulled one over on their fans with the finale.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to give away too much, but it actually ended up being like a really pretty profound and beautiful moment.
Oh, nice.
And the fact that they were gutsy enough to pull that was I really thought was fantastic. At first the episode ended and everybody kind of thought it was the end of the series, and I went, what the hell? And then I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, that actually is the perfect ending. Like, this show is nothing but people screaming at each other all the time, and it's got this moment of pure silent beauty.
Is that the end of the show? It's coming back, right?
It's coming back. Oh, okay. So yeah, they'll be back to screaming at each other.
Oh, okay.
But at the time, everybody thought it was going to be the last thing that you saw from the show.
All right.
People who watch it know what I'm talking about, and
okay.
Yeah, the show's great. The show is fantastic, and the story behind the show is really good too. It was they had really tried hard to get this show made and just weren't having any luck. So just a group of friends who were actors just got together and threw it together themselves, and people liked the little demo tape or pilot episode so much that they let them make it.
Very indie start to it. I know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool. I like it.
Yep.
All right.
All right. You're up. Number 7.
All right. So this was hard. At first I wrote this down right away, but then I put a little asterisk next to it in my notes, as I'm not sure this is a comedy. But ultimately I decided, no, it's all right. It's enough of a comedy. I'm going to include it. So it has that going against it. It's definitely dramedy, heavy on the drama.
Interesting.
Another thing going against it is...
Oh, wow. You're really setting it up here.
Yeah, I know. There have been 2 seasons, and that's it. It's not over. They're shooting season 3 right now. I think it comes out next year, and I think they've already been greenlit for season 4. So there will be more, but who knows how good they'll be.
Is it on one of the streaming platforms, or is it?
Oh,
or is it something that's on TV?
It's on TV.
Because I'm trying to guess what
I believe. Is. So anyway, the first season was the fall of 2016, and season 2 was spring of last year, 2018. And it's just it's recency bias. There's only 2 seasons. There will be more. Who knows? Maybe they'll be bad. Is it really a comedy? All that going against it, and yet I still have to put it at number 7. So anyway, it's Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
So Donald Glover is Earn, Brian Tyree Henry as Paperboy, Lakeith Stanfield as Darius, and Zazie Beetz as Van. And those 4 are all going to be, and some of them already are, humongous stars. It's just incredibly obvious.
I was going to say, it's an unbelievable cast. Unbelievable cast.
So Glover, was obviously on Community, and then is the rapper Childish Gambino, Lando in Star Wars, big star. Brian Tyree Henry is a fantastic actor. He was in the Steve McQueen movie Widows, which wasn't very good, but he was in If Beale Street Could Talk, the upcoming Joker movie.
Oh, James Baldwin.
Yeah, the Barry. I'm blanking on his name. The director of Moonlight, Barry Jenkins. His If Beale Street Could Talk movie. He's in the upcoming Joker. He was in Godzilla. He's a fantastic. He's gonna be a big star if there's any justice in the world. And Lakeith Stanfield was in a great movie that came out last year called Sorry to Bother You, which is hilarious and absurd. You should definitely check that out.
I remember the previews for that.
The previews were very kind, and then they did not give away this absolutely absurd third act thing that happens at all. That is amazing. Anyway, he's also in Knives Out, coming out later this year. The kind of Agatha Christie whodunit thing. He's going to be in Uncut Gems, coming out later this year, from the Safdie brothers, starring Adam Sandler. And then there's Zazie Beetz, who was in Soderbergh's High Flying Bird. She was Domino in Deadpool 2. You might know her from there. She's going to be in Lucy in the Sky, coming out later this year. I'm looking forward to. Natalie Portman, directed by Noah Hawley. Anyway, they're all... You
had me at Natalie Portman.
That's based on that crazy story. Remember that female astronaut who went crazy and then drove across the country in a diaper after some man? Anyway.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Anyway, they're all going to be big movie stars because they are all fantastic and they are the four leads of this show. So I don't know. That probably sells you enough right there.
Yeah, I'll say I have not seen a single minute of Atlanta, which is so bad of me. And it's because I don't have cable, and it's not on any of the streaming.
Yeah,
and I need to.
Yeah, it's on FX.
That.
Yeah,
I've got to fix that so badly because I've heard nothing but great things, and it looks so good. And Donald Glover is a genius.
And it's definitely a dramedy. It deals with all kinds of, obviously racial politics and socioeconomic stuff. And the premise of the show is that Brian Tyree Henry is a rapper named Paperboy who finally becomes semi-big. And his cousin, played by Donald Glover, comes on as his manager. And they're in Atlanta trying to navigate the rap scene, dealing with maybe having money a little bit, but finding out that doesn't really get them treated any better. And then you have Lakeith Stanfield as Darius, who's friends with Paperboy, who is just this stoner philosopher, and he's hilarious. And Zazie Beetz is Donald Glover's baby mama, on and off again girlfriend. And yeah, it's classic because they're not afraid to have episodes that are not normal. Like, there's a very horror-inspired episode called Teddy Perkins, which is more scary than it is anything else.
Yeah, they're really experimental, aren't they?
Yeah, there's an episode in the first season where Paperboy goes on a talk show, and the entire episode is segments of him on the talk show and then commercials. That it's like a sketch comedy show episode, because all the commercials are them. And maybe my favorite episode is the second to last episode of season 2, called FUBU, where we flash back and see Ern and Paperboy in middle school. And it's fascinating and heartbreaking and interesting. Anyway, I can't recommend it enough. Atlanta. I know it's only a couple seasons. It's not super laugh out loud funny a lot. It's smart commentary, funny with drama. But it's just so good. I have to have it on here.
Sticker pick good?
I thought about it, but no.
Okay.
I got something else for that coming up.
Okay. All right, good.
All right, so there you go.
Yeah, that is right at the top of things that I need to watch.
There's not a ton of episodes. Maybe it's 8 or 10 for each season. So there's not a lot to catch up on, and it's all really good.
Yeah, that's one that I'm just going to bite the bullet on and buy.
Yeah. Yeah, just get it on iTunes or something. It's worth it. It's really good.
Yeah.
Or I guess iTunes doesn't exist anymore. Whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's probably on Amazon for purchase, I imagine.
Oh yeah, there you go. All right, number 7, Atlanta for me.
All right, great pick. Like I said, haven't seen it, but I have heard enough just absolute rave reviews of that to say great pick.
Okay.
All right.
Number 6.
6?
Yeah.
All right. Number 6 for me. I probably should have looked up what the air dates were, but it's been some time since this has been off the air. It did have a full run. It was not canceled or anything like that.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Number 6 is Scrubs.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And Scrubs,
talk about something that can do emotion and humor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Scrubs went above,
some other ones.
It's Always Sunny, and it was very consistent.
It was. Well, let's make a quick note that there are 8 seasons of that show. There is not a 9th season.
There's not a 9th season.
In the 9th season, the main character, maybe even characters, aren't in it. They tried to keep it going.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Don't even watch that season. There's 8 seasons of the show. Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to do like an ER type thing where they just
keep it going. It didn't work. It was terrible. Just don't watch that.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
But anyway,
the 8 seasons of Scrubs. Go ahead.
It starts out and it's about 2 best friends.
Right.
They are they're interns at a hospital. They're doing their residency.
Right. Yeah.
They are getting ready to be doctors. One's getting ready to be a physician. One's getting ready to be a surgeon. And really, it's kind of, they go through this hell of that experience.
Mm-hmm.
They meet other characters and form bonds with them. And there's
just really enjoyable characters to spend time with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The janitor. That's
Jan Etor, you mean? Yeah.
It's just Jan Etor. He's always out to get JD, the main character. To
mess with him, yeah.
Yeah, the just the doctors that are over them.
Right.
That are higher ranking than them, and the battles that they have with each other and with their interns and with the nurses and with patients and the patients they would bring in were hilarious. It's just and JD is constantly trying to win the approval of the doctor that he admires the most. Yeah. Played by John C. McGinley.
Yeah, Dr. Cox, right?
Dr. Cox.
Yeah.
And
who's like the older, he like gives wisdom type of,
and he seems to know it all and have it all put together and all that, but really he's just like
he's nicely complex, especially later on. Yeah.
And JD sees him as this like surrogate father that's just waiting for him. But Dr. Cox wants nothing to do with that. But at the same time, like, can't help himself from giving the kid pointers. It's that show to me,
interesting.
It's got it all, and like you said, talk about having the emotional weight with it.
Well, I mean, it's set in a hospital. You got life and death and big stakes that when you need to get serious, it's right there for it.
It's right there for it.
Right.
There are episodes. Any show that airs that long is going to have episodes where they do silly gimmicks and stuff like that. But
it is pretty consistent.
By and large, it's remarkably consistent and very, 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 very funny.
Interesting. Scrubs, number 6. All right.
Funny.
Yeah.
I love Scrubs.
All right. I like that. Okay. Well, my number 6 will be easy. We've talked about it already.
Oh, interesting. Arrested Development?
Yes. I did not punish it.
I'm like,
I did not punish it as much as you did. I kind of lopped off 4 and 5 and put it at number 6.
Oh, you punk.
Yeah, I know. If it was the first 2 alone, it'd be my number 1. So being down at 6.
Good.
I feel like
it's
I'm still docking it pretty well. Yeah, just one line that I want to point out that I think encapsulates how great this show is. Because it's just a throwaway, like quickly said in the middle of a conversation. It's Michael talking to his son, George Michael, about his girlfriend, Anne, who he can
never remember her name.
He can never remember her name.
And he always says, her?
And then George Michael had some terrible nickname for her, Egg.
No. It was she did this disgusting thing where she would eat a hard-boiled egg
with mayonnaise.
She called it a man egg, and so Michael started calling her Egg, not intentionally, but accidentally, because she's so plain.
Yes. So that leads to I think the perfect line to encapsulate the whole show. He's talking to George Michael about Anne, and the line is, "It's as egg as the nose on Plain's face, buddy." And it's just a throwaway in the middle of a conversation, and it is so clever and funny. And it requires that you've seen the previous episodes, right? It's an in-joke. I think that explains the humor of the show really well.
With Anne, George Michael's up in the attic.
Yeah.
Remember he tells his dad, "I've got Pop in the attic."
Right.
Michael thinks he's
talking about sex.
That Pop is his code word for sex.
Yeah. But Pop is his grandfather, yeah.
So he's up there in the attic, and they're watching through the vent, and George Michael's pointing out his girlfriend to his grandfather, and he says, "Her?" Which is the running gag. Everybody says, "Her?"
And the funny thing is, who is that actress? I forget her name. She's gone on to be in lots of other things, and she's not unattractive at all. Like, she's...
No.
Yeah, that's the joke.
They definitely, though.
Well, they dress her as plain as possible. Yeah. But anyway,
so he says, George Michael says to his grandfather, "She's really funny," and his grandfather pats him on the back and says, "Let's hope so."
Yeah, let's hope
so. There's always money in the banana stick.
That's right. I've made a huge mistake. All right. Arrested Development, number 6.
He's a flamer.
They're hot cops. Come on.
Oh my God, the hot cops.
If someone listening has not seen Arrested Development, they are probably thinking we're insane morons right now.
Oh my God, though. Seriously.
The quotes out of context make no sense whatsoever.
But it just reminds you how brilliant that show is.
That's why I still have it up at 6. I don't care. It's still 6.
Oh my God.
I couldn't keep it in the top 5.
I don't have time for one of your asinine tricks. Illusions, Dad. You don't have time for one of my illusions.
Yeah. Anyway, it's so good. All right.
Kitty, the secretary.
Last time you'll ever see these.
Say goodbye to these.
It's so good.
Oh, glasses on? Have we tried hair up? Glasses on?
Anyway.
This whole episode's just us saying Arrested Development lines to each other.
This is going to be a terribly rated
people are
podcast.
Gonna hate it.
Yeah.
But unless they've all watched Arrested Development, in which case
everyone's laughing with us. Yeah.
It's
all right.
So good.
Well, on that note, let's call that the end of part 1 of our top 10 TV comedies. We're at the halfway point. Please make sure you find part 2 of this podcast to listen to the thrilling conclusion of our lists, and to hear the reveal of a very special next episode topic. So we'll see you over on that one. Bye.